Wolf packs surrounded the truck in the woods. Then something shocking happened. January was especially harsh that year. The thermometer hadn't risen above -22 Fahrenheit for 2 weeks straight, but the experienced truck driver, Adam Thompson, had no idea that this brutal cold would lead him to a meeting that would forever change his lonely life. This 42-year-old giant, standing at 6'3" with broad shoulders and a thick chestnut beard, had spent the past 15 years navigating the treacherous northern routes, delivering vital supplies to remote settlements. After losing his wife in a tragic car accident 5 years ago, Adam found solace on the endless roads, where the roar of the engine and the whisper of the wind were his only companions. On the night before his trip, a strange unease kept him awake. The silence in the roadside motel felt unnatural. The usually boisterous truckers sat quietly in the corners, their eyes fixed on the darkness outside as if anticipating something ominous. Outside, the wind howled like a wolf, branches scratching against the windows as though trying to warn of impending danger. Adam checked the weather forecast 3 times. A severe snowstorm was expected, but the urgent shipment of medicine to a remote village couldn't wait. People's lives depended on it. In moments like these, Adam felt the profound importance of his work. While others slept safely in warm houses, he braved the frozen wilderness, forging a path through the snow to connect isolated communities with the lifeline of civilization. On a frosty morning, when the first hints of dawn painted the sky in shades of pearl and lavender, Adam started up his trusty truck. The powerful machine responded with a low rumble. Like a huge beast waking from sleep, the thermometer in the cabin showed -34 degrees Fahrenheit, and the radio warned of an approaching blizzard. The road ahead wound through dense forest, where the signal often cut out, and passing cars were rare. The first hour was grueling, with icy roads and visibility plummeting due to a snowstorm. Adam's partner, Jim, was supposed to follow an hour later, but with no signal, Adam couldn't confirm if he had even left. The truck's massive wheels carved steadily through the snowy wasteland as Adam kept a close eye on the gauges, knowing any technical failure in the freezing cold could be fatal. Despite the heater running at full blast, frost crept along the edges of the windows. Suddenly, Adam spotted large wolf paw prints zigzagging across the road as if the animals were searching for something. Minutes later, more tracks appeared, flanking the road from both sides as though an invisible pack was escorting the truck. Adam couldn't shake the old stories truckers told about wolves shadowing their journeys. Waiting for a breakdown, 5 minutes later, something incredible happened from behind a sharp turn. A huge white wolf stepped onto the road in the truck's headlights. Its fur shone like freshly fallen snow, and its eyes glowed with an almost supernatural amber light. It was much larger than regular wolves, a true giant. The wolf's head nearly reached the truck's side mirrors, its face marked by an old scar that added to its commanding presence. Adam could have kept driving, but the wolf's confident movements made him instinctively press the brakes. The heavy truck came to a halt, releasing clouds of steam from its exhaust. Outside, the wind howled, pelting the windshield with snow. Adam's hand hovered over the emergency light switch, but stopped midair. His intuition warned against sudden movements. Within moments, a pack of about 15 wolves emerged from the snowy haze, surrounding the truck like phantoms. Their breath formed ghostly clouds in the frigid air, and their eyes reflected the headlights, casting eerie lights in the darkness. The wolves bore the harsh marks of winter, ribs visible through dull coats and movements heavy with exhaustion. One wolf, clearly injured, limped but remained steadfast with the pack. A young she-wolf with a silver undercoat was limping, her side covered with dried blood, perhaps from a fight with a boar or a moose. This winter had broken all records of harshness. The old-timers said that such a cold winter hadn't been seen in half a century. The deep snow made hunting nearly impossible. Hoofed animals had moved to better feeding grounds, and the small game had gone into hiding, forcing the wolves closer to human settlements in desperate search of food. The white alpha wolf, though exhausted, moved with almost unnatural grace, methodically circling the truck and sniffing the tires and cabin. Adam noticed the wolf's scared, torn ear, evidence of an old battle for dominance. The alpha stopped before the radiator, lifting his head to lock eyes with Adam. In those amber eyes was something beyond animal instinct, an ancient wisdom that seemed to pierce Adam's soul. A chill ran through him, not from fear, but from awe. In 15 years on the road, He had never seen anything like it. With a low growl, the alpha signaled the pack to part, forming a corridor that led toward the forest. Moments later, a gray wolf emerged from the darkness, gently carrying a small light-colored bundle in her mouth. Adam held his breath. It was a wolf cub, very young, no more than a month old. His fur, still fluffy like a baby's, was a unique silvery white, almost like the alpha's. The she-wolf, apparently the cub's mother, was in the worst condition of the entire pack. Her ribs jutted out sharply, her eyes hollow with hunger, yet she moved with surprising dignity, carefully carrying her precious cub. Near the truck, she gently placed the cub on the snow and stepped back. The alpha approached, nuzzling the cub tenderly as if saying goodbye before lifting his gaze to Adam. At that moment, Adam understood this was no threat but a desperate plea for help. The starving pack, pushed to the brink by a merciless winter, had turned to him as their last hope to save their young. Adam's heart ached at their trust, stirring memories of his own loss and lonely nights after his wife's death. Perhaps this was his chance to save a life when he couldn't save the one he loved most. Moving carefully, Adam opened the cabin door, letting the icy air rush in, carrying the scent of pine and the wolf's silent plea. Adam slowly stepped down the steps, his boots sinking into the deep snow. The wolves tensed but didn't move. They seemed to understand the importance of the moment. The alpha stood motionless. Only his tail twitched slightly from tension. Every step toward the cub was difficult for Adam, not because of the snow, but because of the weight of responsibility. The cub lay trembling in the snow, a tiny, fragile ball. As Adam bent to pick it up, its golden eyes, so like the alpha's, opened, holding a faint spark of life despite the cold. Adam, used to gripping a heavy steering wheel, cradled the weightless cub with surprising tenderness. Its ribs were sharp beneath its fur, and it whimpered softly, pressing into the warmth of Adam's jacket. Behind him, the mother let out a mournful howl, echoed by the pack, a farewell, not a threat. A tear froze on Adam's cheek as the alpha approached. Rising on his hind legs, the wolf gently touched the cub's cheek with his nose, a silent blessing for its future. This gesture was filled with such tenderness and sorrow that Adam held his breath. Then the alpha lowered himself back into the snow and let out a short, commanding growl. At this signal, the pack began to slowly retreat into the forest. They left one by one, disappearing into the snowstorm like ghosts. The alpha and the cub's mother were the last to leave, the mother glancing back as if memorizing the spot where she had left her baby. Adam stood still, holding the fragile cub against his chest, until the last gray silhouette disappeared into the trees. Back in the cabin, he turned on the heater and carefully dripped hot broth into the cub's mouth. It eagerly swallowed and wagged its tiny tail for the first time. "I'll call you Milo," Adam whispered after the north wind brought you to me. For the rest of the journey, Milo slept curled in the passenger seat, wrapped in Adam's warm jacket. Somewhere, the pack continued their battle for survival, but for Milo, a new life was beginning, protected by the man they had trusted with their most precious. As the storm cleared, the first stars lit up the night sky. Ahead lay a long road full of challenges and surprises, but Adam knew he had made the right choice in his heart, frozen by years of loneliness. The first ice was starting to melt, and the little cub whimpered quietly in his sleep, perhaps saying goodbye to his old life. In the 2 years since that day, Milo grew into a magnificent wolf with silver fur and golden eyes. The scars on his body healed, leaving barely noticeable lines under the thick coat. Adam converted part of his property into a spacious enclosure, but Milo mostly slept in the house, by his owner's bed, like a loyal dog. The local residents were initially wary of the wild animals, but gradually grew accustomed to the unusual pair. Adam continued working as a truck driver, but now chose shorter routes so as not to leave Milo alone for long. In his absence, a neighbor, Victoria, an elderly former veterinarian, cared for the wolf with a deep affection for the unusual pet. Sometimes, on winter nights, when the blizzard howls especially mournfully, Milo raises his head to the sky and lets out a long howl. In these quiet moments, Adam sits beside Milo on the porch, wrapping an arm around his powerful neck as they both stare into the forest's shadowy depths. Perhaps, somewhere among the snow-covered pines, the pack with its white leader still roams. Or maybe it's simply the call of the wild, a distant echo of Milo's untamed roots stirring faintly in his soul. Yet, after these brief moments of nostalgia, the wolf always returns to the house, faithfully following his human. He presses against Adam's legs and whimpers contentedly as if to say, "This is my home. This is my pack now." And as Adam gazes into the wolf's golden eyes, he's reminded that miracles can happen even in the darkest times, and that sometimes in saving a life, you find your own renewed. You save your own soul. Now, whenever Adam drives along that same road where their paths crossed, he always slows down, scanning the forest depths. Though no one has seen the white wolf since, truckers whisper that in especially harsh winters, giant wolf tracks occasionally appear, crossing the road. It's as if some unseen presence still watches over the path that united two vastly different fates in an unforgettable story. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.